All right, last piece. I'm up, and it's very short. Not I'm very short, it's very short. So I just want to share with you a very quick summary of a series of projects that we have ongoing, led mostly by that table over there, but you'll see them when they come by. So, this is part of several projects under an umbrella of numerous projects, which include Olivia's that you just heard about, and a whole host of others related to calf health, responsible drug use in calves, salmonella Dublin control, leukosis control, and so on. But one of the big pieces is around reproductive management research, particularly optimizing reproductive performance with minimal use of hormones, in particular in herds using activity monitors. So the first big study, which we're getting into the home stretch of, is looking at herd level. So the premise is, or what we know going in, is that herds using activity monitors as their primary method of managing repro and lactating herd can achieve as good pregnancy rates and as good profit as herds that opt for heavier use of synchronization and timed AI. But behind every average, there's a distribution. Some herds do better with one approach than the other. And so what we're trying to understand in this project is some of the determinants among herds that use activity as their main tool. What are the drivers of those who succeed better in terms of their metrics of reproductive performance? So this is Lucio Campora's PhD research. He's enrolled 33 farms in Ontario. It's a sample of 100 cows per farm, 100 calving in the warm weather, 50 calving in the warm weather, 50 calving in the cool weather, so 100 cows per farm, and that's in the home stretch right now. We also have a cohort of farms in Quebec that are complete their sampling, and we're hoping to enroll a third and final cohort in Western Canada early next year. And so that involves sampling for health markers of the transition cows and also herd level things like stocking density, heat abatement, flooring types, and so forth. The next one is under the same umbrella but focused at the cow level. So again, in herds using activity as their main tool for getting lactating cows inseminated. This is Carlos Rochman's PhD project. But in complement to Lucio's herd level work, this is building on some work you've heard about at this meeting in the past few years, where what we're building towards over a number of years is hopefully a decision support, an algorithm that producers could use to say, given X, Y, Z about a cow, inherent to the cow, or about her experience as a fresh cow, is she likely to show a fertile heat based on activity? And if so, I could plan to leave her alone and have a light touch with her. And we think that's about 70% of the cows based on the data we have so far. Or is she in the 30% of cows that I probably shouldn't wait or waste a month waiting for her to show a heat that isn't likely to come or isn't likely to be fertile, and she would be one for a selective intervention. And so this is focused heavily and even more intensively than the first study on transition cow health monitoring, and it's hopefully building us towards that eventual decision support for producers. Also, as part of Carlos's PhD, he's interested, and I'm interested, in one of the uterine health determinants that's an important part for cows' fertility, no matter how they're managed, which is endometritis, chronic low-grade subclinical smoldering uterine inflammation. And so we're piggybacking off of this study where he's intensively sampling and monitoring cows to sample and monitor at least some of them even more intensively to help us understand what sets off, and more to the point, what sustains uterine inflammation to a point where it's unhelpful to the cow. Uterine inflammation is healthy, normal, and necessary around calving, but then it should get turned back down, and these cows with endometritis seem to fail to turn it back down, and we don't really understand why yet. Also on endometritis, again, it's difficult to diagnose practically in the field. And so one of the questions we always get from veterinarians is, I'm behind the cow with a scanner anyway, can't I diagnose it by ultrasound? And in some cases, perhaps it can be, but that is Rocio Mollet's master's work, which is looking at whether we can look at a number of criteria based on ultrasound to have a simple, more practical, right on the spot, on the farm test to identify cows with this chronic smoldering uterine inflammation. You're meant to be impressed by how nebulous those shifting gray images are, but that's the point, is to try to make sense of what that might look like. For anybody who's watching, the little bright white speckles in the swirl, that's what we're looking for in this particular case. And last but not least, we've got a data mining exercise going on with Renan Payano and Tony Brinjay, who are postdocs, who are both will be finished at the end of this month, but they're going back through everything as recent as the studies I just told you, and some of our other large field studies of transition cow health over the last 20 years, but mostly the last 10 or so, to look at the data with some new questions, new ideas, new lenses, to try to better understand a bunch of things, including the nature, the when and where and at what thresholds ketosis or hyperketonemia might be relevant to cows. We've done a lot of work in the past to say that it has strong associations, but we're drilling a little more deeply to try to maybe refine who and when and where. That's a helpful thing to add to herd management. One of our other things that we're interested in is what I've coined as the triple crown phenotype. So historically, a good cow is a cow that's the absence of bad stuff, right? She doesn't have disease and she does have an easy calving, and that's true. But we think there's maybe more to it than that. The cows that stay healthy, make a lot of milk, and get pregnant by 120 days in milk, those are the real winners. And we think that there's maybe more to that than simply avoidance of bad stuff. And so we've got a really nice data set with a lot of those phenotypes, and we're going to try to understand better what makes that magic happen. And I think I will leave it at that for now. I'm happy to take a question on that stuff. And if not, all that remains is for me to say thank you very much to all of you for coming. For those who support our research, which indirectly is all of you, and directly is more of you, some more than others. But thank you for your time, your investment today in coming, but in the two-way street that I talked about this morning. We want to do really good science, but we want to do that in support of answering practical questions and solving problems and thinking about future-proofing our industry going forward. And so it's a two-way street. We appreciate your support. We recognize the need to earn your support. And hopefully today is one piece in that puzzle. We've got a good thing going here in Ontario. Myself and my colleagues, we get to travel a lot and talk about our research in other dairy industries. We've got a good thing going here, and I'm not just bragging about dairy at Guelph, although I'll do that too. But in terms of the connections we have, the willingness of producers to have us on their farms to do research, the investment that DFO and DFC make in research, the investment that industry players make in research, we might take that for granted sometimes because it's really close to home and we see it from this far away. But we've got a really good thing going. We need to keep earning that confidence that as researchers that you put in us by doing good research that you see value in and communicating those results back to you. So today is one small piece in that puzzle or in this tapestry, that tapestry. So again, thank you very much for your support today. Thank you for being here. Just before I wrap things up completely, I want to give a shout out to Vivian Bielman, who's at the back of the room. If you want to stand up. Vivian is our project manager, and she has done a huge amount of work, a lot of the legwork for making today the success that it is. So huge thanks to you for doing that. With that, I think it's just time to say again, thank you for coming. We appreciate your support. We look forward to seeing you again soon, and we will soon have the date on the calendar for doing this all again next year. Safe trip home. Thank you.